Made with rich spices, creamy butternut squash, and sweet apple cider, this easy Instant Pot butternut squash soup is absolutely delicious. Hi mindful moms and dads, Kristen here. As someone who suffers from a chronic disease, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. If you love Panera's autumn squash soup, you are in for a treat today, a money-saving treat. I'm gonna show you how to make a copycat version of their famous soup right in the Instant Pot in record time for pennies. So let's put on our kitchen capes and make soup. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our Instant Pot to saute, and we're gonna let that heat up. While our Instant Pot's heating, I'm gonna chop up a small onion. Now that my Instant Pot's heated, I'm gonna add in a little bit of oil and that minced onion. And then I'm just going to saute that for just about 2 minutes until my onion is softened. Now that our onion is softened, I'm gonna add in 2 cloves or 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, and then just let that toast just for a minute. We don't wanna burn garlic or we will ruin a dish quickly. Our garlic is nice and toasted, so I'm gonna turn the Instant Pot off, hit cancel, and then we need to deglaze our pan. If you've watched my videos, you've heard me say it before. To prevent a burn notice and to add flavor to your dishes, you need to always deglaze your pan after you use the saute function. To do this, you just want to pour in thin liquid and then use a spatula to scrape up any brown bits. Today, I'm going to pour in some apple cider, about 2 cups of apple cider today. And then I'm gonna use my spatula and just scrape up any brown bits. There's not really many since we just were sauteing onions, but better safe than sorry. Now in place of the apple cider, you could use 100% apple juice, you could use water, or you could use additional stock. The apple cider really lends sweetness and richness to the soup, making it taste just like Panera soup. I'm also going to add in 3 cups of low sodium vegetable stock. For our butternut squash, we need 5 cups of cubed squash. That's the equivalent of about 1 large butternut squash that you've peeled, seeded, and chopped. And if you've ever tried to peel and chop a butternut squash, it can be very time-consuming and labor-intensive. Well, let me share with you a little secret. Buying pre-diced butternut squash is almost the same price as buying a large butternut squash. And it saves you about 10 to 20 minutes of prep time, depending on how fast you can chop your squash. Another secret is you can just use 20 ounces of frozen cubed squash, which is what I'm using today. Add that right to my broth. And then for the seasonings, I'm gonna add in a good pinch of salt. And I'm gonna give the soup some depth and a little bit of spice by grating some fresh ginger root right into the soup. I always have peeled ginger root in my freezer, then I can pull it out and use a microplane and just grate it right from frozen right into my soup. It's a great way to always have ginger on hand. And then I'm also going to use my microplane and grate nutmeg, about 1/4 teaspoon into the soup as well. I always like to grate my nutmeg because it has a much better flavor than ground nutmeg. I'm also going to add in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. You can use a little less cinnamon if you want your soup to be a little less sweet. Now to replicate Panera soup perfectly, you need to add in 1/2 teaspoon of curry powder. However, I really don't like curry powder and nor do my kids. So I'm going to omit it from my soup, and I'm telling you, for me, it's perfection. But do what you like. That's the other advantage of making it at home. You can control the ingredients, you can make it how you like, and you save money. Give that a quick stir. Pop our lid on our Instant Pot. We're gonna cook for 15 minutes on high pressure. Once the cook time has elapsed, don't do a quick release of pressure. Wait at least 10 minutes. If you tried to do a quick release of pressure, you would have hot, boiling liquid all over your kitchen and potentially all over you. So avoid that mistake. Once the pressure has released on its own, open up your Instant Pot. Smells incredible. Smells like fall in here. I'm gonna use an immersion blender to blend my soup. And I just wanna get all the butternut squash nice and incorporated and blended into the broth. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can ladle your soup into a food processor or a blender and blend carefully Just make sure that you leave the little lid on your blender cracked open so that steam can escape. One more thing to take this soup over the top. You want to add in 1/2 cup of heavy cream, or you can use coconut milk, or you can even use plain Greek yogurt. Then give it a quick blend. It's just really gonna make the soup super, super creamy and luscious. All right, ready to dish this soup up. I'm gonna dig in here. The notes of ginger give a little bit of spice on the back of my palate, and the squash is sweet and earthy. It's really so, so good and so easy and so cheap. Making butternut squash soup at home is certainly the way to go. And if you like soup, be sure to check out all my Instant Pot soup recipes. It's amazing how much flavor can be developed in a short time when you use your Instant Pot. Until then, happy cooking.